So welcome everybody. It's very, very good to see you all. As usual, thank you all so much for joining us today in this special webinar, actually, because it was quite impromptu. No, it didn't start off as a original Wakelet webinar, did it, Bruce? But we realized that what Bruce and Paula will be talking about today, which is all about creativity and media in the classroom, and talking about their new book as well, which has just come out. We thought that, you know, since these are community-focused webinars, that you as a community would really get a lot of value from hearing what they say and hearing a little bit of the story behind their book. So I'm going to be asking Paula and Bruce a few questions on that. And I just want to say a big thank you to everybody who's joining us today. We know that it's difficult out there right now for educators, I think. You know, there's a lot of uncertainty. A lot of people aren't quite sure about what the next school year is going to bring. Some of you are learning working remotely. Some of you are working in class. It's a very strange period right now, I think, in our history. So we really appreciate anybody who's taken the time out of the day to learn about something new. So I'm joined today by the incredible Paula and Bruce. Bruce, maybe we'll start with Paula. Do you want to introduce yourself very quickly before we jump in?
Well, sure, absolutely. First of all, welcome to everybody. I'm from a small town in Indiana, in the United States, and I've been an educator for 28 years with a degree in telecommunications and English. I've taught English and media, been an administrator, and I am going to say that I actually recently retired from my current job so that I can pursue some other interests within media. So Bruce and I met through social media, ironically, and we've been friends now for about 5 years. Our other author, Randy, couldn't be here today. Again, met him through social media as well. So we kind of have a really cool bond.
Yeah, no. Yeah,
Sorry,
no, definitely. And Randy is actually in school right now. He's teaching in school. He's getting prepared. Indiana starts the beginning of August. But hi, I'm Bruce Reicher. I'm from New Jersey in the United States. I've been a teacher for 25 years. And 20 out of those 25 years, I've actually been a media teacher, computer app teacher. And I've been lucky enough in all of my schools to build television stations and have students actually do a morning announcements TV show live, you know, to the whole school, and then we post a link later, you know, for everybody to see. And as Paula said, it is incredible, and the power of social media. The other two authors are in Indiana, which is not close to where I am at all. And originally I had seen Paula Misbah. I saw her profile come up and saw TV Studio Middle School, so that caught my eye. But then I saw a radio station. They make movies. They do PR. She funded her whole station by going into the town and having the kids do commercials. I'm like, that's somebody who I need to meet. That's somebody who definitely I need to meet. And then we became friends. And for the past 5 years, our classes between Indiana and New Jersey have communicated back and forth on Google Docs. We did a couple of Zoom sessions, you know, where the kids corresponded with each other and became, you know, brother and like sister schools. And it's just so neat. The kids are used to it, but I still get amazed that we click one button and then we're video conferencing with Indiana, you know, in the middle of the day. It's so cool.
It's incredible. And I just want to say, I obviously I've had a few calls with you, Bruce. You're one of our Wakelet ambassadors. And I remember being really struck by just how creative your students were. And it made me think how many schools out there and how many school teachers out there have these really creative students in their class, but don't necessarily know how to give those students the opportunity to express that creativity. And one of the reasons why I think we bonded was because when I was a kid in school, I just gravitated towards anything creative. This is probably the reason why I really didn't like maths and science, but every other subject, the humanities, the arts, music, anything that required some element of creativity, that's what I gravitated towards. But I always felt like quite often the school environment wasn't necessarily the best place. And I know I said this in the video, it wasn't always the best place for me to express my creativity, just because I'd want to do creative things, but the teachers wouldn't have it in the curriculum, or, you know, it'd be quite limited. And what I love so much about you is that you're creating these extracurricular activities that students can have that output for their creativity. So I think if anybody in the chat, what we want from this this webinar really is really, rather than asking questions, because this is going to be more like a kind of free-flowing interview session today with Paula and Bruce, probably one of the biggest values that we get from webinars is seeing people's ideas in the chat box. So as we talk, you're probably gonna get prompted to have some, to think about things which you may have done in the past or things that you want to do with your students to help boost that creativity. Feel free to share them because we're going to definitely copy this chat and send it over with the package that we send at the end of every webinar. So please share all of your thoughts and your ideas. I think that's the main thing. So let's take a look. Paula and Bruce, you've just released your passion project, a book. And I'm probably just as excited as you for the release of this book. It's called Scripted Educators, and I'm going to be sharing the link to this, the website for the book, because it's so interesting. I'm still waiting for my copy, but I've seen what people have been talking about it online, the initial reviews that have just come in, and people seem to be going crazy about it because, well, I mean, I'm going to let you guys talk about that, but I've just shared the link to the book in the chat. But before we begin, why did you begin the book? Should we start with you, Paula? What is it that made you want to write this book? What issues did you find that said, you know what, today I'm gonna start a project to write a book? Because not many people do that.
Right. That's an awesome question because I think I'm going to go to Anita in here because she made a comment about being creative in all subjects like math. And I think that's kind of how it started because I originally taught English, and I really am a supporter of student voice and student choice. And, I don't think it matters whether you teach math, science, or social studies. Students need to have a voice and they need to have that outlet. And I think that's one of the reasons we wanted to write this book, because we all kind of started from scratch because there's really nothing out there. If you look at standards and such, there's not a media program. And we're like, we're doing all this in our classroom. We need to share this with everybody. And the cool thing about this book is it's not research based. It's not a bunch of just garble. It's like what we're doing in our classroom. It's actual curriculum. It's ideas. It's what equipment you need. How do I get started if I know absolutely nothing? And that's why we wanted to write this, because we all started there. We started in closets. We started in the back of a room. And so we understand that. And we wanted to share our passion for media and broadcasting with everybody. And I think that's how it all kind of got started.
And then we really got into the book because honestly, we looked for a manual. We've been looking for a manual for years, and honestly, we couldn't find one. I mean, we did find broadcasting books that maybe they use on the college level, but a lot of those books were 2005, 2010, which seems recent, but not really the way things move so quickly. So the three of us kind of looked at each other and said, we can write it. And as Paula said, and it's an important point, this is all firsthand things that we made, and we've also tried with students. And believe me, there's nothing wrong with, there are tons of terrific education books where they crowdsource and they'll go out and interview 40 media teachers. And that definitely does have value. But we think our book's a little bit different because we didn't go interview anyone. We didn't visit any schools. The three of us got together and basically said, what do you use for the microphone? What do you use for the camera? What curriculum projects do you have? And we tried to put it all together in a book where anybody can create media. As someone said in the chat before too, it was a great point, math, language arts, it doesn't really matter what subject. And at this point, if people have a cell phone or any tablet or computer, you have a microphone and a camera, you are ready to go. And that's one of the other points of the book is, I think sometimes people think, oh, media, well, I need $5,000, $10,000 to start. And, we're here to say, if you have a $150 Chromebook or your cell phone, you're ready to go. That the creativity, the storytelling, even if it was something as simple in any subject, just do a video exit ticket. And now in 2021, as you said, Ms. Well, a lot of people, including myself, are going to be in a hybrid of remote learning and also in person. How cool would it be to get feedback from the students, either a short 30-second audio clip or 30-second video clip that could just be like an exit ticket that maybe you did in class. And to me, that's the other point of the book. And we really drill down on is like, start small and then build it out. Like Paula said, we started in closets. We started in small places. I started with 5 students doing my show, and now 12 years later, you know, we have 18 students that do it and it's a full 10 minutes, but we certainly didn't start out that way. Start small and then grow it out.
100%, yeah. And I love that point that you make, which is that you don't need these crazy resources. You don't need that much of a budget to actually make something powerful nowadays. It's insane, I think, how little you need and how much you can do without even spending a penny. You know, just using webcams and you know the microphones that come with you know, a cell phone. Like,
Right.
for example, I remember when when I'm taking notes down, I use my AirPods, but previously to that, I had just the usual headphones that come with a typical iPhone, and the quality was great, like really good. Like, it's so different to how it was, you know, 5 years ago, never mind 10 years ago. And this technology, just being able to have a clear recording of something, I think can open up so many doors as well. So I love that idea, and I think that that's addressed in the book, just how accessible this thing is. You don't necessarily need these resources, but that's great. But let's say there are teachers who are out there and they're listening right now and they've got their curriculum, they're looking forward to the new school year, and they're like, look, I don't have time for this type of stuff. I just want to kind of focus on the curriculum and just get that stuff out of the way. For you guys, what benefits have you seen from having students create that media and unlocking that creativity in them? What types of stories or things or science have you seen that it's really helping? I'll go with Paula first. Sorry.
No, go ahead. Ladies first. Paula was ready. Go ahead, Paula.
Okay. Um, you know, one of the things I do appreciate in the book, Randy isn't here, but Randy is a elementary teacher. And I think one of the things that he's done that is very unique is he has shown how you incorporate media from first grade all the way to sixth grade. In other words, a 5-year-old can go in front of a camera, they can go into social studies, you know, they can learn geography, for instance. They can take that, produce some kind of a audio or video presentation, you know, expressing themselves at a really young age. And sometimes I think when we think media, you know, I think we think television, radio, but when we talk media, we're talking student voice. We're talking expressing themselves and, you know, learning how to think, and then, okay, how do I get that out there? The other side of it is providing an audience at a very young age. You know, as a teacher, we know finding that global audience is very difficult. Right. Now it's not, you know, right. Letting students know, you know, say, hey, you know, we have people listening to your radio station. We have people watching your television program every day. And when they know that, there's that ownership that's like, oh my gosh, I'm only 8 years old and people are watching what I have to say, you know. That is where I think media is just the key in any classroom. It really doesn't matter the age or
very empowering. Yeah.
And I really think, and you know, the biggest chapter in the book is on curriculum, with curriculum ideas, every single grade level and projects. But to answer your question, Ms., but I think you have to start with your curriculum that you're teaching, and then just start slowly. So it might not be a full-blown audio or video project, but it could just be a choice that you're going to give a student. Do you want to write a paper on this? Do you want to record your voice on this? Do you want to make a video on this? Almost like choice boards are becoming popular, of, you know, letting students pick what they want to do. And it is proven that any of these media projects, it is higher level learning, because they're just not regurgitating back what they learn quickly on a test. You know, they're brainstorming, they're planning it out. And then when they go to do it, if you ever did audio editing or video editing, they just don't do it once and hand it in. You know, it goes through many, many drafts, and many, many times if they're with a partner, you know, doing it together, or even somebody by themselves. And I really think they get the true, almost like the writing process as video or audio, and a lot more goes into it. And I think, you know, as Paula said, with students' voice, it's also ownership, that they take a lot more ownership into it. You know what? I can hand something in 30 or 60 seconds that I created, as opposed to, let's take a test on the topic and, you know, all 20 students take the same test. It's a little bit richer that now all 20 students, they're handing in a variety of different projects. And for the teacher and the student, some people's learning styles, they might be more comfortable, you know, to write a paper and to hand in the paper and include a couple graphics. And that's terrific. I think giving them choice, and start with your curriculum where you're at, not the other way around to try to fit in, okay, now I have to do a video project. Let me get the camera and the other equipment. I think it more starts with the idea of what you're teaching and just add it on slowly as an extension and stay with what you're doing. Don't get rid of, you know, the curriculum you're teaching. Just add to it and let it enhance the curriculum. And we've seen it firsthand. I mean, the other point of the book that comes through is kids for SEL and wellness. This is amazing. You get kids who maybe don't talk at all in your class or a little on the quieter side, but if they go home and they're recording something, you know, all of a sudden their personality comes out. And sometimes, you know, you see a different person that in class, face it, a lot of kids are not comfortable to raise their hand and, you know, answer questions, but they might be more comfortable in making a video or an audio that they share with the teacher.
Yeah, I completely get that. I think that the point that you touched on lastly there, I'd love to expand just a little bit, was obviously you said it as well, Paul, it empowers students to make them feel like their voice is being heard. And I think that it's a very, very exciting thing as well. Just seeing yourself perform well on camera and seeing the finished result of something. And I know that Bruce, in your school, with your class, the production values are really high. Like, even though they're kind of, you know, they may be done on a budget, they're not using the most professional stuff, but the way that your students are interacting with each other and the way that they're working together, it's basically run like a very small media company or like a station. So I can see how empowering that would be for students. Exactly. Can you, just because I want to generate a little bit of discussion and ideas, I guess, in the chat, can you recall of a moment where a student's creativity really surprised you? Or it doesn't have to be a single student, or just something where you may have thought like, oh, my student can't do that, but then they did it. You know what I mean? Like a way, like I remember when I was in school, quite often I'd surprise my teachers because I'd draw like a picture or something that they would think like, whoa, okay, this kid's got something here. You know what I mean? Has anything like that happened to you? And also everybody who's in the chat as well, if you've ever had a student surprise you with their creativity, please just tell the story in the chat. But shall we start with Paula?
Sure, I like to go first. So one of my favorite things, I have a television studio as well, and I have a radio station, and we use Backbone Radio. Backbone Radio is an internet radio station, so it's in the cloud, you know, and it's all internet based, so you don't have to have towers, licenses, and so forth. Radio is a great opportunity for students that, you know, don't want to have their faces anywhere. But there are those kids that love to talk in your classroom. And that's how I always approach it. You know, are you the guy that likes to talk? Then I want you on my radio station. And radio for me has been probably the best endeavor that I've ever taken, I think, in the classroom. One of my favorite things is we go over to the high school for the football games, and they allow us to go up in the I started to call it the tower, the media room. I felt like I was a princess in a tower, to the media room. And the cool thing is, you know, there's stations from all over. So our students take our radio with us and they go up there and they learn how to do play-by-play sports broadcasting. And the cool thing is the other stations up there, they're their mentors, they're helping them, and students learn to just listen on how it's done. And they don't learn ahead of time. I literally throw them in and they learn on the spot. And, you know, that to me is one of the, I don't know, just one of those learning experiences that, you know, it's not part of a curriculum, it's part of helping students grow and learn and go, wow, I just did sports broadcasting and I didn't even know I could do it, you know? So that's one of the cool things for me.
That's really cool. I love that.
I mean, some of my greatest stories come from the feedback that you'll get from other people and that the students get. Sometimes from my school is a 6th, 7th, and 8th school. And a lot of times every 7 days we rotate who the crew is. And I'll frequently get emails from 6th grade teachers and be like, that can't be the Bruce kid that I had in 6th grade. They like sat in the back, they didn't say anything, they might've been introverted, and now all of a sudden the camera goes on in 8th grade and, you know, 3 years later, the student is like very comfortable in front of the camera. And my other favorite thing really is we stream the show live, but then we put up the recording of the show for parents to watch.
Right.
And it's awesome that parents during their breaks in the morning will like go to the school website and watch the school TV show and think about from a parent point of view too, saying that's my son or daughter who's hosting the show. And in 8th grade, they're 13 or 14 years old. You know, they're still really young kids. And, you know, the pride that they take to see, you know, their son or daughter hosting the show. And, you know, that speaks to what Paula said before too, really the communication and the outreach that we do it live within the school, but then we do put it on the school website. And, you know, our biggest viewers are the parents to see their own kids. And even if people are out a day, they can go to the TV show to get, you know, the announcement type things. But those like, you know, aha moments for me of getting an email from a teacher or getting an email from a parent that's totally unexpected and just saying, wow, I can't believe my son or somebody that I had in 6th grade, like they're the host of the show. And it's like incredible the growth that they've had, you know, over a 3-year period, and they just end up seeing it, you know, on video is incredible.
Yeah, I completely get that. It's like what starts off as a creativity or media creation exercise ends up becoming this really big confidence building moment, like a very memorable moment in that student's life, which I can definitely relate to. When we asked the crowd if they had any examples of times where students surprised them with their creativity, I'm really impressed with the ones that came through. Allison said, I had a student create a video game based on the Odyssey. I never believed how amazing it would have been, but we spent all class period playing it because it was fantastic. That's incredible. I would never have put those two things together. Elizabeth, I think it's Elizabeth says, this is also good for language not only good for language learners, but also good for teachers. Very true. And then Rose says, I had a shy child whose dad passed away during remote learning this past April. She used Flipgrid to speak about her loss and sadness. She is 6 years old. That's incredible. Again, I think that there is something quite magical about having nobody in the room and just the camera, and then that ability to actually, you know, talk and reflect and express yourself. Because quite often the things which makes us nervous are very different to other people. Because I know that's actually something which I wanted to discuss as well, and I'll come to it shortly, just after we go past this segment. But yeah, I think that's a really beautiful story, Rose. Thank you so much for sharing.
I have a really good one too for you from Regina, who said, I love the way they worked individually at first, but then realized working collaboratively was better. And one of the parts of the book, and it's at the very end of the book, but it's an important part, is creating media, any type of media, really ties into future skills of companies that have said, what are future skills that students need, and have come up with these like top 10 lists. And out of the 10 skills, like 10 for 10 are all media of problem solving, creativity, working with others. And some people call them like the soft skills, but they're really important skills for the future. And even with students doing remote learning, or eventually, you know, they might be doing remote learning forever and like not go into their office. These skills of working with other people, problem solving, and from 2015 to 2020, the #1 skill that jumped in 2015, creativity, was #9. Now in 2020, it's all the way up to #2. And I venture to guess by 2025, it might even be #1 and jump over problem solving, because, you know, that's what future employers are looking for, not necessarily how well you did on state tests or standards, but rather, can you solve problems? Can you work with other people? And a lot of those other, you know, those other future skills. And, you know, that's why I think creating media is so important, you know, to these students, because even if they end up not being in broadcasting at all, it doesn't really matter. They'll be able to take and transfer these skills to whatever job they're going to do, of collaborating, working well, and, you know, getting along with other people. And as far as the book, I could speak definitely for myself. And I think Randy and Paula, if any of us would have written this on our own, it definitely wouldn't have been as rich as it came out. You know, by doing collaboration and by learning from the other two people, we ended up getting, you know, 3 different sets of lenses and ideas into one book. You know, even for us, makes it a lot richer than me just sitting down. I don't have a radio station in my school, so that section would not even be included. So I think for students and adults, if you can work with other people and collaborate, that's a huge skill. And this media creation ties right into it.
Paula, any stories that you've seen in the chat which kind of resonate a little bit?
I know.
Because I'm looking at them, they're
You know,
amazing.
they were going really fast. I know they were going fast. There was one a little ways back, kind of dipped into the online learning right now. She's a kindergarten teacher, and you know, kind of expressing how do you get parents on board. You know, how can they help their students at home with this media, especially at the kindergarten level. Um, you know, from a teacher standpoint, I think all of us can agree modeling is how it all starts.
Mhm.
So when you're, you know, when you're putting your assignments, etc., online, you know, it has to start with you. So, you know, you need to be the person behind the camera. Maybe you're, you know, you model an exemplar of a radio podcast at the kindergarten level. And I actually did this with 7th graders. So we took fairy tales, like actual fairy tales, and I had the students rewrite them as a 6 o'clock news report.
Oh, wow.
And so the,
That's my
yeah,
kind of
which was very
assignment.
cool. It was,
I'd love to do
yeah, it
that
was
now.
awesome. Well, you can when we're done today. But you know, they had a great time. So then we went on the radio and they told the fairy tale as a broadcast, and they used, you know, anything around them to create the sound effects. They weren't allowed to do digitally. They had to use what they had. You know, so as a teacher, you know, regardless of the grade level, get on there, model it. So students are like, oh, all right, that's pretty cool, you know, and think outside the box, you know. And that's kind of what I do. And I obviously learn from other teachers all the time because, you know, kudos to all of us because there's awesome educators in this whole entire world. And, you know, I think the importance of this book is this is ours and we want you to have it. It's not like ours and mine, and you know, we're all together. And I think it's really important education. I think we do a great job of that, of giving each other ideas, and that's what it should be, you know.
And just to
I,
piggyback on what Paula was saying too, I think, and we said it in the original book launch, rely on the kids in your class. Like every single student now, kindergarten through 12th, they've only grown up with the internet and with phones in their hands. Like rely on them and ask if anybody would like to help you, show you how to record, even if you know how to do it, have them show you how to do it, and maybe different techniques that we know how many thousands of apps are out there. And I certainly don't know all of them. And with remote learning, I encourage my students, it doesn't matter to me what media you use, what app you use, what website you use, you know, come up with something and create it. And if it's on WeVideo or Quick or Flipgrid or Cami, I mean, there's tons of different tools now to use. The tool doesn't really matter. It's more the creativity. And in-person learning, it's definitely easier to do than remotely. But in-person learning, I did it every single day. If I saw a student every day find something, either searching or creating something, I would like stop the class and be like, oh my, Misbah found out a way to, you know, do this that I didn't even know
Right.
about, and recognize and honor the student. And that's, you know, one of the best things you could do, not only to make them feel terrific, but also then the rest of the class learns something new that you didn't even know yourself. And I think we're all kind of, you know, on the side and letting the kids produce things. And I know that wasn't the traditional model that teachers had, but really this is being a pure facilitator of, we're going to show you the tools, but now you go run with it and we'll keep you in the right direction. But you know, you want them to go in a million different places instead of every, you know, 20 students all coming up with the same exact end product. You want 20 different things that students come up with and create. So rely on the students, even if it's remotely. I've done this. I've been in remote learning since March. I would say, does anybody have any idea of how to do this? If I really don't know, and you're bound to get tons of different answers from all different levels. I happen to have middle school kids, but even elementary and then high school kids and beyond can provide the answers for you that is probably right in front of you.
right. And just touching on something which we spoke about very just a little bit, I think, in the last question was around let's say students who may struggle, who may be a little bit shy, and who might not on the surface look like they're ready to engage in a creative activity that requires them to perhaps present or requires them to share their voice and speak, or even, you know, act or be on a podcast or whatever it might be. And you know, you mentioned yourself, Bruce, you know, student very quiet at the back of the class, and before you know it, they surprise you with that. I remember for me, I found it very, very difficult, but I tried to push myself because I was quite shy in class to begin with, but then we did the school play and I pushed myself. It was The Wizard of Oz. And bonus points to anybody who can guess which character I played in The Wizard of Oz in my school play, by the way. But after that, it was like there was a Mizbah before The Wizard of Oz play, and there was a Mizbah after The Wizard of Oz play. The first one was quiet, a little bit shy, not quite sure about what his comments would be, interpreted as. The other one was very confident. What types of tips can you have to kind of help students come out of their shell, would you say, and help them, interact more and engage in more creative vocal, exercises, would you say?
I mean,
But
I can go first.
Sorry, I need to start directing my questions to people.
No, it's all good. I mean, I'm thinking of two things that come to mind very clearly. One is to give the students choice, and even choice. Do you want to work by yourself, or do you want to work with a group? That you don't have to work with a group. And the classes that I get are classes that are put in, 15 to 20 students. They might not have anybody that they actually want to work with. And I think it's okay to work by yourself or with a group. And then secondly, to really figure out like the rapport you have with the students and their comfort level. That I have students all the time in the video production class. They do not want to be on video. And I'm like, that's fine. Just do a voiceover and get media that goes with it. And to me, really not the secret sauce, but the secret to it is like, make them feel comfortable with your rapport and get to their comfort level of what they want to do. Because for me, if I go out of their comfort level and they're middle school students, once they're done with my class, they'll never want to try this again. So I try to get into their comfort level of what they would like to create.
Right. So it's finding out what the level is that they're comfortable with, and then taking it, kind of escalating that, the more comfortable they get with that thing. That makes perfect sense. And Paul, what about you?
I approach it similar. What I do is I kind of try to look at all the students that I have, and then I say it kind of in a reverse psychology way, I guess. So, I'm kind of like, because in my class, I have like tons of different things going on at the same time. So there's TV and there's radio, there's journalism, there's website design, there's everything. So I'll say, I need a couple of people that definitely don't want to be in front of the camera, that you're like thinking, I want to do that hardware. I want to get on the hardware. So, or I'll say, or I say, I want those people that they just want to look good and they want to be in front of the camera. Okay. And I just kind of throw those kind of things out, and, right away you're seeing hands going up. Oh yeah, that's me, and then after you get going, I'll say, all right, anybody want to maybe try a different one? And, as the time goes on, they're like, yeah, I'll give that a try. I want to do it. It's like, all right, cool. Let's do it. So, I think it's super important that as teachers, which we all know, your kids,
Yeah.
and I never let anybody opt out. That's one thing I don't do, because I truly believe everybody's got, they all have that in them. It's just getting it out of them, so kids are unique. So they all are capable of doing all of it. So.
Yeah. And I can see some of the comments coming in about that, which are really good as well. Petronia says, let's take them step by step. If they receive encouragement for the things they do, it's possible for them to go to the next level, but it might take some time. And if we push them, they'll become more and more uncomfortable with showing their image and voice. So it's just taking them, taking time with them, I guess, and seeing what it is that they're comfortable in doing. And I think one of the other cool things about it as well is, I'm sure, doing a radio station and a television station, Paul and Bruce, is that creativity doesn't necessarily have to come from being on camera and having a camera on you, or expressing yourself that way. At Wakelet we've got so many incredible creative people, and quite often they're not the people who are in front of the camera. Marcus, our video guy, big shout out to Marcus, because I think he might be recording this as well. So if you're recording this live, big shout out to you, Marcus. Marcus is one of the most creative people that I know, and he's not in front of the camera all the time. He's not doing voiceovers. He's creating videos and learning how to technically quickly put something in front of this, and editing videos and making them look good and feel good and sound good. So I love that idea as well. It doesn't always have to come down to the person who's speaking the loudest. There are so many different functioning parts and moving parts in a radio station or a television station that there's more than enough for a student to feel engaged and creative in what they're doing. But yeah, some of the examples that we've got in the chat, guys, really appreciate it. Thank you so much. This has been an amazing session for people contributing, and I appreciate it, and I hope that you all continue. Just a quick, also, since we're doing shout outs, just a quick shout out to Flipgrid, because I think that what Flipgrid are doing, we've been partnered with Flipgrid for quite some time now, and I think that the Flipgrid make it very easy for students to record themselves on camera. And I love some of the little features that Flipgrid have done, which are very thoughtful, like being able to pixelate the camera or add emojis, or, you know, I think I was speaking to somebody from the Flipgrid team a while back, and they said that even something as simple as having a sunglasses effect on the face, because they have lots of different effects, something as simple as that can allow the student to feel more comfortable. If something silly happening, you know, like a party hat or a visual, can allow the student to get out of their comfort zone and feel more comfortable speaking. So big shout out to Flipgrid. Those of you who don't know, we're fully integrated with Flipgrid as well. So you can either use the Flipgrid camera integrated into Wakelet to record videos and kind of express yourself that way, or students can just copy and paste Flipgrid videos directly into a Wakelet collection. And I guess that kind of leads me more to the technical side of things, Paul and Bruce. Paula, what types of online tools, if you had to suggest, because I saw in a lot of comments, a lot of people are asking, you know, like, what types of tools could you use online? If you had to suggest, like, I don't know, just a handful, 2 or 3 tools which you would really recommend, what would they be when it comes to this? It's a tough one.
Yeah, well, it is, because there's so many good
ones. You don't have to say Wakelet. I'll leave that to Bruce.
Well, I mean, I truly, there's so much out there, and I think it also depends what you have available to you. You know, we kind of have to start with that. You know, I personally, I love Backbone Radio because I love podcasting. I love WeVideo. Like, I love video creation. That's one of my passions. So I do that for fun. The Backbone Radio is, you know, it's one that has a cost behind it. But, you know, one of the things that I did is I went out into the community and raised funds for my own radio station. So, you know, because funds are limited nowadays, so you have to find ways to make money. It's sad, but we have to do that. And I think when you, you know, get involved with your community, that's what you can do. I don't want to get off sidetrack, but I like Backbone. I love WeVideo. I obviously have used Wakelet for a really long time. I think teaching students how to curate information at a very young age is important, because I don't think that's something we necessarily teach at a young age. And nowadays, with, you know, so easy for students just to click, where's all that going, you know? So I think regardless of which one of these you're using, I think teaching them how to use them correctly so that it has value is what's important. You know, you don't have to have 18 different apps. You can have 2 or 3 that you use, and you use them well, and the students know the importance of them. That's where I think it matters.
Yeah, I was going to say, similar to Paula, I've done this summer a bunch of podcasts talking just about even doing technology remotely. And I really think just keep it simple. The apps that you have already in your district, just do a deeper dive on them. For me, it's WeVideo to do any type of podcast, screencast, animated GIF, or video. It could do all 4 of those things in one place. Use Wakelet, you know, to curate and put all that information. Now I have 3, but I have a professional development Wakelet site. I have a Wakelet site just for my school, and now a 3rd one for the book. And I did one specifically for school because it only has my classes, so it doesn't look as busy. And then the other 2 are really, one is a big one, Google Tools, that if you're a Google tool, or Microsoft School for that matter, it doesn't really matter, use those tools within that bundle that you already have to create multimedia, to do planning with Google Docs, to do spreadsheets, all of those terrific things. And really my new one from this summer, and I'm a novice at it, but I want to learn more about it, is Book Creator. Because Book Creator was always an app that was on an iPad. And I didn't realize that 2 years ago, now they came out with a really terrific website. And within Book Creator, you could do any type of multimedia that you want, video, audio, obviously, you know, text. And it's in, I think, like 200 different languages. It's really a powerful tool. And I always thought Book Creator, honestly, was for like kindergarten through 4th grade until I saw some of these manuals that some of these tech teachers were coming up with of WeVideo or Wakelet or other things in, like, it looks like a comic book. So in the beginning, you think it's, you know, maybe made by elementary students or middle school students, but you could put any type of media in it. It connects to everything. I was actually recently involved with, there's an Epic one of apps that Christina Holweiss created. She's a media specialist. She crowdsourced a Epic book and did it all in this Book Creator, which was, I had never used before, but was very simple just to create the media. And really one of the thoughts in the book, Misbah, is we're not advocating use, you know, any specific one. It's really use what you have, and the story or the curriculum is more important than the tool that you use, and whatever tool you have available. And you said it before too, Misbah, I think you're right. It might just be this. You might just have your phone and that's it, and just record audio and video into it. And that's also fine. So those would be my 4. Book Creator has become my 4th. I had a big 3 for a while, but I've really enjoyed using Book Creator now that you can use it as a website along with the app.
Right. And I think it's really, sorry, Paula, continue, please.
Oh, well, Randy isn't here, but Randy at the elementary level uses LucidPress a lot, and you know, which I'm really impressed with, that he has his students at a young age use that. So I just wanted to throw that out because I that was one that I know he uses. So yeah.
And we'll people in the comments as well. Don't worry, because we'll be sharing all of these all the information and resources which we've talked about today. We're going to share them in a Wakelet collection afterwards and email them all to everybody. So don't worry too much about that, along with obviously Paula's and Bruce's contact information as well. So just moving on, obviously this book is a big passion project for you, and I remember sitting and speaking with you guys very, very early on, and thinking about how overwhelming it must be to just sit down and start writing a book. And I think it's been a very collaborative effort with you, and I think that's been beautiful. I think you guys and Randall have done an incredible job. It's a job just being able to find a publisher, get it done, and get it all together, and get it out on time. I mean, I can't imagine how difficult it is to write a book, but it's out now, which is incredible. If you could pick one kind of takeaway from that book that you think an educator should get the book for, or one of your favorite parts of writing it or authorship, what would you think it would be?
I'm going to let you go first, Bruce.
I know I was gonna say Misbah's section, but I'll think of something else. Misbah has actually written a section in the book, everybody, on Wakelet, and it's quite good that he goes through how Wakelet could be used in the classroom with media. So he's an author himself. Don't let him fool you.
I'm officially an author now. It's one of the bucket list ticked off. Yeah, I'm officially an author.
I mean, my favorite thing with the book was even at the beginning when the 3 of us met, honestly. The first 2 months, and you appreciate that, we didn't write anything, because when the 3 of us got together virtually or in person in New York City and also in Indiana, it was a lot of, what microphone do you use? What camera do you use? I can't believe, you know, you use this technique. And just to give you an example, you know, Randy, who's not here, he's teaching right now in Indianapolis in Indiana. He did a novel thing that he doesn't use microphones to record sound. I'm like, wait a second, what do you use? He actually uses little Sony recorders, PX370, that have a USB built in the back of them. And it's ingenious that for 1st or 2nd graders that might talk quietly, they could hold it up and gives a perfect audio level. But I found for middle school students, I have nice USB microphones in my lab. However, my lab is rarely quiet, even though we try to get them quiet to do the voiceover. I found it much better. I ended up getting these voice recorders and have them go to a quiet place and record their voiceover with no other sound at all. The level was perfect. It has USB built in the back of it, so it goes right into a Chromebook. And really, the favorite part of the book for me is meeting Paula and Randy and coming up with those like aha moments for myself of now I could bring this back to my class. And I would never think of a voice recorder to use, to do voiceovers. I had always used regular USB mic. So besides Mizbah's, that's my favorite part of it.
Oh, you're too kind. I think I could have probably done a better job with mine. I'm gonna wait for the reviews to come in, but I think I was truly honored when you asked me to write a chapter about Wakelet, because again, like I said, it fulfills a personal goal of mine, which is to have at least something that I've written published that isn't just social media or a blog. So I really appreciate that. Paula, what about yourself? What would you say your biggest takeaway is?
Oh, well, I would say probably, I guess we wrote this with the idea of if you don't know where to start, this is how you start. And to the littlest things, which one thing I do like in here, there's a chapter that literally shows all the equipment that you could possibly ever need down to the actual cables. Because if you really don't know media, because someone put on here, what if you know nothing, which is the idea, we literally have all the different cables, what do you do with this cable? Why would I need it? We told you kind of the hardware we use. It doesn't mean you have to use it. All of these are suggestive. I like our community chapter because I really think community is important. And how do you build community in your school? How do you build community within your community? And then I consider this community today, so this is the bigger community. And I think that's really important to teach students the vastness of community. And I think that's an important part of the book as well.
Mm. No, I'm so excited, honestly. I think that it's going to be an incredible read, I think, for so many educators out there. And I'm going to share the link to the website again once more. And Bruce, do you want to tell us a little bit about how you can go about purchasing this book and getting it, and all the kind of things which come with it? I guess basically like how easy it is to just jump in and get started.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think we wrote the book for someone who just wants to get started, or for someone who wants to add on, to their media that they might currently have in their school. And I would think the simplest thing now, going back to school, is along with thinking of things students can do, to think of things that we could do as educators for social emotional learning and wellness to make them feel more welcome, along with Flipgrid. Just use any type of app to record audio or video. Even if it was an email to a student and it had a little audio file that your voice welcomed them, I think that's much different than just getting the generic welcome to whatever grade letter, to try to personalize it the best that you can. So in my mind right now, I have going a lot of things like back to school. Some people are back to school already. In the Northeast of the United States, we start after Labor Day. What things could we do to reach out to students? I know we do, Google Classroom, we do email, but what other things could we do with a Flipgrid, with a Wakelet short, within Wakelet, to talk just like this to students that, they get some type of empathy and some, they hear your voice along with, just seeing their name and seeing who, their teacher is. And probably now more than ever, it's more important to do that I know in my own school district, the focus is really on SEL and wellness every lesson for the whole year. Like, make sure everyone's doing okay. Everybody has handled this, differently. And I think really the power of audio and video, when someone sees you doing a personal message to them, I think it's much different than, here's my general welcome letter and I penned in, the student's name. When it's individualized to that student, welcoming them in the beginning, but as the year goes on, it could be even more personal, to them. And again, I showed my phone before, but it could be as simple as just hit the audio record or video record on your phone and just, send them out that way. And when you were saying before about what equipment and that type of thing, Ms., but it reminded me of, anybody who's on television right now, they're not going out to do live shoots. Like, they're in their room, their house or apartment. They have the camera set up, and the information is the most important thing. not necessarily do you have the most expensive microphone or camera. So I would think of something like that, like a, creative welcome back that maybe you always sent your students letters, and, this year, even to the whole class, I'm going to do an audio message and blast it out with an email, and they'd be able to hear the teacher's voice. Would not be too difficult to do. It might just replicate what you've been doing, but do it in a media type way instead of, just getting an email or possibly, the letter in the mail.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's incredible. I think it's a lot easier than people think to get started. I'm going to put the link to the website, the Scripted Educators website, in the Zoom chat again. Please go on it, check it out. There's a whole bunch of awesome resources on there which are going to help. And how can people grab the book, Bruce? How can people get their hands on it?
Sure. The book is on Amazon. So just Scripted, an educator's guide to media in the classroom. I'm so glad that you just put our regular website, because on scriptededucators.com, on the top header, they just click the link and it takes them right to Amazon. This is what the book looks like, the front cover and the back cover. There's nice pictures. There's Randy Randall that we were talking about. And also for today, we are running a contest on your show that afterwards, when the chat is over, people can go on Twitter and just do @Wakelet and @ScriptedEDU. I'll put that in a chat in a second. And also #WakeletWave. And what's the most creative way that you can come up with to do media in your classroom or possibly your school or district? Paula and I are going to let it build for a little bit. And in a couple hours, we're going to pick a winner and send that winner a free scripted book, that they can use. So we'll be learning along with picking a winner and, sending somebody one of the free books. It's also available on the on Barnes & Noble, and also on the EduMatch site. Edumatch.org has for individuals, and I know for bulk, a lot of school districts are buying them like for the whole staff or for grade levels. If you buy more than one, they're like selling them in bulk discounts, and that's also on the scriptededucators.com website.
We will also contribute to that prize as well with a Wakelet T-shirt and some stickers as well. So whoever gets to win the book will also get to win a swag pack from Wakelet as well. So really good luck with that. And I know we've got some people in the chat who are saying an alternative to Twitter to kind of partake in the competition. I'm trying to think of what the best thing to do would be now. If you're on Facebook, if you're using Facebook, then you can do it on there as well. I think that you'll probably be able to just leave if you go onto the Wakelet Educators group, if you just type in Wakelet for Educators, join that group and then just put your contribution there. And of course, we'll count them all in and then randomize it. But I can't wait to hear your ideas. I really can't. Paula, Bruce, any kind of last final thoughts or final calls to actions you'd like to share with everybody?
Well, first of all, I just want to thank everybody. I wanted to add on the website that it will be ongoing. Under the resources, there is a Wakelet tab where you can tap into our collection that kind of goes as a companion to the book. The We Video button is for teacher ideas, and the backbone is how you would get started with the radio. And soon we will actually have our own radio station on our website. So we will be running podcasts on there as well. So, check back often. So
the only advice I would give people, Misbah, is that anybody can do this. And I think it is like a misnomer. Like, I need to be really good with my camera, taking pictures or audio or video, but just jump in and get started. And as I said earlier, if you're not so sure, maybe ask your own children at home or students in your classroom, to help you, and you start getting the bug of doing something creativity, using your creativity, to create different things. And again, this is our book. If you go to the website, there's a bunch of different ways to get it. And the other thing we're going to do with Wakelet, we don't have set up yet, but we are going to, is actually make a folder in our Scripted EDU Wakelet collection and have people crowdsource their projects once school
space.
So we can actually see what other people are creating. And I'm positive of this. We're going to see a lot of projects that we never even dreamed of ourselves that people have come up with in their own classroom. So that's going to be another thing that's going to be coming soon.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Paula and Bruce, and thank you to everybody for joining us today. We really, really appreciate it. As usual, share all of your feedback and your ideas on how you enjoyed this webinar with us at Twitter. I've shared everybody's at names in the chat now, so you can take time to just make notes of those. And what we'll do, Paul and Bruce, is we'll just mute and stop our video, and then we'll leave the chat to go for another 5 minutes, just so people can pick up on any comments or notes that they've missed out. But thank you all, everybody. Really appreciate it. As usual, certificates will all arrive in your inboxes, hopefully within the next hour or two. But Paula, Bruce, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. Really interesting topic, really timely, and we hope to have you on again very soon.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you,
Thank you
everybody.
so much.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.